It's been 6 days since 58 innocent people were gunned down. Authorities still say they don't have a motive.
You have people that are hell-bent on killing fellow citizens.
Evil, genuine evil, and people who live evil lives who have just no sense of empathy or consequence at all, who may not get an easy answer.
Extreme weather, yes, again. Tropical storm Nate turns into a hurricane overnight, killing at least 24 people now across Central America.
3 people have been arrested and charged in connection to an ISIS-inspired terror plot that prosecutors say targeted New York City concerts, subways, and landmarks.
ISIS is making a concerted and constant effort to establish both a network as well as folks who will be able to execute attacks here.
With dozens of senior military officials flanking him, President Trump says this is the calm before the storm.
Reporters tried to get clarification from him, but to no avail.
What did you mean by calm before the storm?
You'll find out.
Joining Representative Scalise to catch his pitch is Special Agent David Bailey.
I'm in between, yes, Pete Hegseth, who everyone
No.
but also Superman. Dean Cain, who flew in for the weekend.
Everyone would just like to spend 3 minutes with Dean Cain. We've had 3 hours, and we have another one. It's been fantastic.
I'm happy I get to spend the time with you, Abby. Absolutely.
You're so sweet. Well, people...
You too, Pete, but not as much.
Well, actually, when I found out that you were hosting, I think we have a clip of what I said when I found out that Dean Cain was hosting. I was like, no! We had to pull something, you know?
I'll never live that down. Never.
Good.
But
I immediately started to sweat right there.
Well, you should.
He did. He hasn't sweat the whole morning. That
right there. That got me.
Blushing a little bit.
No, I know.
But you should never live that down. I mean, that is about the best role of all time. And you just nailed it.
I will embrace it forever. It's great to be part of it. Now I'm Supergirl's dad, so it's kind of fun.
That's true.
I am Supergirl's dad. I'll be here grandpa in about 3 weeks, too.
Still no gray hair, though, as we discussed last
No gray hair.
hour.
He
Hang it in
claims
there.
no dye whatsoever.
No dye whatsoever.
All right.
Email
Well,
us. What do
we
you
are,
think?
friends at foxnews.com. What do you think of Dean Cain's hair? Is it better than Pete's? We want to know. Well, it's great to have you with us. One last hour. You'll be with us tomorrow as well.
Yes.
But we do want to get to our top story because authorities are hitting a dead end in the search for a motive 6 days after 58 innocent people were shot and killed in Las Vegas.
So what happens now? Will Carr is live with us in Las Vegas with the very latest. Will, how's it going out there?
Good morning, guys. Federal authorities are continuing to put a profile of the gunman together this week. They're looking at his personal, his political, and his religious beliefs. But at this point, they still don't have a motive for the attack. Well, here at the crime scene, you can see police tape is still up. Now, this is covering where this fence was before the concert. But you had dozens of people stampede here. They pushed through this fence as they were running for their lives.
Those are shots! Run! Those are shots! Run! Don't look!
Run! Go! Run. Go! Go! Everybody go!
And as more and more intense video like that continues to come out, authorities still struggling for answers. They are talking to Stephen Paddock's girlfriend, Mary Lou Danley. They're also looking into his financial past. We know that he earned $5 million in gambling winnings back in 2015. He also paid for at least one house and one car in cash. At the same time, they're continuing to see if Paddock planned to stake out other concert venues in both Chicago and Boston. And it comes as this city continues to honor the victims. There is now a memorial in front of the iconic Welcome to Las Vegas sign. A carpenter from Chicago drove down and he put up 58 wooden crosses. Each cross now has both a picture and the name of each individual victim. It's both powerful and emotional.
It's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking to physically walk through and see how many people were killed. I mean, you walk through and you can feel that, and it's heavy. It's uplifting at the same time to see so many people come out and leave flowers and candles. We saw a woman walking around just relighting candles on her own accord, and just to see the community come together is beautiful.
And then there are the survivors, 26 people still in critical condition, almost 60 in hospitals. A little bit later today, there will be a unity prayer walk. Vice President Mike Pence coming in town for that, guys.
Thanks, Will.
All right, Will, thanks so much. You can see behind him that fence that it was basically removed from people.
Fence. Yeah, you are really running for your life if you're going to go through that thing, and obviously they were unbelievable.
Absolutely.
And still, it sounds like no new information. We still have no clue what that motive is. Maybe officials know more than we do. I hope that they do, but still got to be so hard for people.
And as Dan Bongino said last hour, we may have to come to the reality. We may not know why.
Never.
Boy, that
which means we've inevitably moved our way into a debate about guns and gun control. No one had heard the word bump stock, or very few had before this incident. It's a device that allows a semi-automatic to fire like an automatic. There's Republicans now teaming up with Democrats potentially to ban it. But some are questioning whether or not this is a slippery slope and could lead to other erosions of Second Amendment rights. Well, Nancy Pelosi took to the podium and kind of revealed her hand a little bit.
So what? They're going to say, if you give them bump stock, it's going to be a slippery slope? I certainly hope so.
Well, that makes it pretty clear where Nancy stands on that, and I'm a member of the NRA. I am fully in support of the Second Amendment, 100%. I think there's a lot of emotional reactions that come right after an event like this, and they want to start legislating. Now, the NRA's position has been that the bump stock turns a semi-automatic into an automatic weapon, which therefore makes it illegal. So anything that does that, any device that's going to turn a semi-automatic into an automatic, makes it illegal. They want the ATF, their BATFE now, I guess it's called, to go ahead and regulate that as opposed to legislation, but we'll have to see what happens.
Yeah, and you see Republicans, Democrats coming together on that. The administration saying they'll look into it, as you said, even the NRA in their own way is looking into this as well. But we don't often see Republicans and Democrats working together on anything today. And interesting, now on health care. I mean, we have seen Republicans try to put something forward to repeal Obamacare. They have not been successful, as we talk about all the time on the show. Well, it's come out that the president has spoke with Chuck Schumer yesterday, gave him a call on the phone talking about health care. He tweeted this out this morning. He said, I called Chuck Schumer yesterday to see if the Dems want to do a great health care bill. Obamacare is badly broken. Big premium. Who knows? And I think the question is this about him working with Democrats, Pete, or is this sending a real clear message to Republicans of, if you don't get your act together, this is the alternative?
It's kind of like the we'll see you with the gatherings, the calm before the storm. Who knows? It's true, but it's just part of a negotiating tactic. The Republicans in the Senate have failed this president. They have not been able to deliver even on a skinny repeal, let alone the Graham-Cassidy bill, which a lot of people thought was a great solution. It was very, very close. This could be either an opportunity to work with Democrats, which you would never get a repeal on. You have to remember that. So that was a central campaign promise for every Republican and this president. That would be politically problematic for him to go back to voters and say, I cut a deal that wasn't a repeal. Democrats will never do anything that doesn't preserve Obamacare. Maybe this, as you said, Abby, gets Republicans back to the table, because otherwise a deal cut with Chuck and Nancy is going to make Obamacare live forever, which means we march towards single-payer health care, which is what the Democrats want. You heard Nancy Pelosi? She wants to take your guns. You hear Chuck Schumer? He wants single-payer health care. All of it is incremental wins they want to take to try to get to that end state.
Well, then everybody sitting at home, all the citizens are going, we want something done. Get something done. He's a deal maker. Who should he make a deal with?
Yeah.
The Republicans or the Democrats?
It's unpredictable. We don't know exactly what his strategy is here, but he's making it very clear, as you said, Dean, that I wrote a book about solving problems and getting things done. That's what I ran my campaign on. And if it means doing nothing with Republicans and getting at least something with Democrats, we're willing to go that direction. We'll see what happens here. I do want to bring you, though, some other headlines that we are following closely this morning, starting with a Fox News alert. And here we go again. The Gulf Coast bracing for impact as Tropical Storm Nate turns into a hurricane overnight. The Category 1 storm already deadly, killing at least 24 people across Central America. Now, Louisiana and Florida issuing mandatory evacuations as the storm brings winds of up to 80 miles per hour. Hurricane Nate could make landfall in the U.S. as early as tonight. We will keep a close eye on that storm. And 3 men, including an American, now charged with plotting massive terror attacks right here in New York City. Federal authorities able to stop the ISIS-inspired attacks targeting New York's Times Square and the city's subway system this summer. One of the suspects even planning to attack music festivals and telling undercover agents that he wanted to, quote, shoot up concerts. Pretty chilling when you think about what we've been through this past week. And Iran's president is now defending the controversial Obama-era nuclear deal, saying there is nothing President Trump can do to stop it. According to Iran media, Hassan Rouhani saying this, quote, we have achieved benefits that are irreversible. Nobody can roll them back, neither Trump nor 10 other Trumps. Harvard law professor Alan Dershowitz joined us earlier on the show, and here's what he said.
Iran is going to get a nuclear bomb in 10 years if they comply with the deal. North Korea is only getting worse. We cannot allow this to continue. So there's going to be a storm. What the storm is, nobody knows.
That's someone who knows a thing or two about Iran. President Trump is set to deliver a policy speech on Iran next week. He may decertify that deal. We're going to have to wait and see. And Ford is about to unleash its latest police vehicles. The Michigan State Police testing Ford's environmentally friendly 2018 hybrid sedan, making it the first pursuit-rated police car in North America. And good luck outrunning this. Ford's F-150 police responder is perfect for off-roading in tough conditions and can hit 60 miles per hour in under 60 seconds. That's like every guy's best friend
Under
right
7
there.
seconds. That's quick.
I'm
Yeah.
just really concerned that police vehicles are energy efficient. That's what I look for.
I like that truck, though. That truck's
It
pretty
is a cool truck.
outstanding.
All right, well, another story we're following this morning. You remember, unfortunately, Army Sergeant Bo Bergdahl, who deserted his fellow soldiers and walked off his base in Afghanistan. We had Michael Waltz on the program earlier, the special operator who was in charge of finding him. Massive resources were spent. And ultimately now he has decided he will be pleading, likely, AP is reporting that he'll be pleading guilty to desertion, something a lot of people knew for a long time, but he was claiming that it wasn't. And the other people that were claiming it wasn't desertion was the Obama White House back in June of 2014. Let's bring you back to that time.
There are a lot of questions about how he originally was captured and whether or not he had deserted, had left his post. Will he be disciplined or has already paid the price?
Certainly, anybody who's been held in those conditions in captivity for 5 years has paid an extraordinary price. But that is really not the point. The point is that he's back. He's going to be safely reunited with his family. He served the United States with honor and distinction.
Well, the point is maybe he didn't serve the United States with honor and distinction, and he deserted his post. Pete, you're a military guy. How does that make you feel? How would it make you feel if he was in your unit and you lost men going out there searching?
Terrible. And then the mission that you have is diverted to go find this guy. And then when you do know where he is, you know he's in the hands of the Taliban, and then you trade him for 5 of the worst. And where are those 5 guys right now? Seriously, they've probably gone back. They want to go back to the battlefield if they haven't already. And now we have a deserter on our hands who's now pleading that he's guilty, which we knew all along. It crushes morale, it wastes resources, and it endangers troops, gets people killed. And that's why I think a lot of people are hoping this is, there's a big sentence attached to this plea deal, not just, hey, slap on the wrist, Bo Bergdahl walks. He should pay for what he did.
Well, and a lot of people knew about that 3 years ago. They were talking about
way before.
So you hear the Obama administration, praising him and what he did over there. But the reality is, at that time, I think a lot of people had a clear sense as to what we were dealing with.
Think about that, though. But then why do you do a Rose Garden ceremony if you know the guy's a deserter?
The thinking behind that blows my brain out. I can't understand that. I mean, if you know that, and I think they did know that at the time, it's horrible optics. It looks really bad now, for sure.
At least Barack Obama is no longer the president.
There we go. All right. Well, should Republicans be wary about working with Democrats on gun control? Dinesh D'Souza is fired up about this one next.
And late night hosts taking a hard turn to the left.
House Speaker Paul Ryan said he thinks President Trump's heart is in the right place on race relations. Oh, sorry, I misread that. His heart is in the white place.
Yeah, from Kimmel to Colbert to Fallon, is the turn to politics hurting their ratings? The President of the United States just weighed in on Twitter on this, and we will bring it to you.
The American public values this freedom to protect themselves. And now you have Dianne Feinstein and Schumer in the media to get this horrible tragedy. And they want to piggyback their whole agenda to ban guns, restrict law-abiding people for the last 20 years. This circus on the back of this tragedy and enacted.
That was NRA CEO Wayne LaPierre reacting to Democrats' calls for increased gun control in the wake of the Las Vegas tragedy.
So does he have a point? And should Republicans respond? Here to discuss is conservative filmmaker and the author of The Big Lie, Dinesh D'Souza. Dinesh, thanks for joining us this morning. So we're hearing rumors. In fact, we'll put the 4 Republicans up that have already said they're willing to discuss gun laws, likely focused on this bump stock that we've all learned about. Ron Johnson, John Cornyn, John Thune, and Lindsey Graham. What do you make of Republicans talking about working on gun control legislation with Democrats?
Well, normally in political debate, if there was some give and take on both sides, you can arrive at a compromise. But that's not what this is about. This goes back to Rahm Emanuel's famous statement, never let a good crisis go to waste. And I think it's very clear that for the Democrats, this is a kind of first step in order to, in a sense, abolish the Second Amendment. So to me, when we look at constitutional rights, the Second Amendment is not less important than the First Amendment. It's not put second because it's secondary. And so this is a kind of attack on our constitutional rights. It's been brewing for a while, and we should not allow the kind of stampede created by a single incident to allow us to buckle. So Republicans can pass sensible gun control regulation on their own if they want to. There's no reason to open the door to the Democratic crusade against the Second Amendment.
So you're saying pretty much don't work with the Democrats on that because they're going to come after your guns. I mean, Nancy Pelosi said that it's a slippery slope, and so what?
Yeah, I mean, I think when we look at the Second Amendment, some people say, well, gee, it's there for hunting and so on. No, I mean, it's actually there to protect us against government tyranny. In other countries like Venezuela, where the government used these kinds of incidents in order to confiscate people's guns, what happened is that the only people who had the guns were the government, was the state, and they're now able to turn those guns against Venezuelan citizens. So I think we should take a cautionary lesson from that and realize that our Second Amendment rights are critical to the preservation of our basic liberties.
But Dinesh, just you saying that means the left will say, well, you're in favor of dead people. I mean, you're a heartless follower of the NRA. They use emotion so powerfully.
Well, I mean, first of all, the Second Amendment, like the First Amendment, it's not that these are amendments that have no exceptions at all. You can't shout fire in a crowded theater, for example, but notice how carefully limited that is. You can shout fire in public, just not in a crowded theater, so only when there is imminent danger. Now, there's no imminent danger right now. Basically, what we need to do is complete this investigation. To me, the more interesting question are the motives of this shooter. I mean, imagine if this shooter had shot up a gay rights rally, there wouldn't be any shortage of speculation about what was motivating him. But because he shot up a country concert, suddenly everyone is really baffled about his motives.
Interesting. Dinesh D'Souza, thanks for your time this morning. We appreciate it.
My pleasure.
All right. Former First Lady Michelle Obama says people don't trust politics, and she's blaming Republicans.
GOP Congresswoman Mia Love is here to respond.
One side, all men, all white. No wonder people don't trust politics.
Well, this week, former First Lady Michelle Obama lashed out at the Republican Party. Speaking at a conference for women, she brought up the State of the Union address, saying this.
One side, all men, all white. On the other side, some women, some people of color. I look at that and I go, no wonder. No wonder we struggle. No wonder people don't trust politics.
Our next guest takes issue with those words. Mia Love is a Republican Congresswoman from Utah. Mia, welcome.
Hi, how are you guys?
Good.
Hanging in there.
Good, from my great state of Utah. I love it.
There we go.
How does that make you feel? You
Follow the sun. Follow the sun.
Absolutely. You are a black Republican woman. How does it make you feel when you hear those words coming from Michelle Obama?
Well, sadly, this is identity politics. I mean, I don't know if you've noticed. I don't know if she noticed, but I am not white and I am not a male. This is the way that Democrats try and win elections instead of winning on the policies that actually help the American people and unite us. This is absolutely divisive language. It's not language that unifies us as Americans.
Well, Congresswoman, when I see you, I see a Congresswoman. When the Democrats see you, they see a black female. Is that an improvement in the way we see the world, that they segment by race and gender and class and creed, as opposed to saying, hey, we're in this together?
I think it's incredibly ironic and hypocritical. I mean, Nancy Pelosi will go out and actually recruit someone to try and take out the only black Republican female that we have out there. And wait for it, she's actually replacing me with a white male Democrat. So this is about the narrative for them and about winning election through divisive politics instead of uniting people. I don't fit in a box. I don't want to fit in a box that somebody tells me I have to fit into. I am a wife. I'm a mother. I'm a Utahn. I am a black Republican who cares about America and cares about all people. So, you know, I'm going to continue with my positive, unifying language and try and do everything I can to help our future generations.
Do you feel like they're going with the identity politics because they can't win on policy?
Well, if they could win on policy, they'd work on policy. This is, again, we continue to hear this. Why is Nancy Pelosi trying to continuously trying to take people like me out? It's because, you know, I try and do everything I can to bring people along, to say that these policies are ones that lift people out of poverty. The policies that that I promote are the ones that tell people that in this country, no one is predestined to be poor. That if you're able to work hard, if you put your efforts, if you try and if we do everything to give opportunities, that you take those opportunities and you run with them. And independent people are the ones that give back. And so we want everyone to be good, contributing members of society. You take care of yourself, you take care of your community, you're able to take care of your state and your country.
Yeah, you should never be in a position where you feel like you have to defend yourself as a Republican woman, an African-American Republican congresswoman. You're doing some great things.
Great stuff.
Well, I can tell you, I love the state of Utah. Utah has proven that they don't care about that. They were willing to send the first black female Republican, and this state is just incredible and an example to, I think, the nation. And so hopefully more will come.
That's a good point.
I am with you there completely. Mia Love, thank you so much for being with us.
I don't think I've ever seen so many, like a former president and first lady, stay in the game so long and be so political afterwards. And I'm divisive. I'm older than you two put together.
We were just talking about George W. Bush, how he's painting and how he's, you know, doing these rides to help veterans and, yeah, different ways to leave the White House.
It's different, for sure.
That's right.
All right. Well, this volunteer firefighter and his 2 young children, it's a horrible story. They were killed by an illegal immigrant on a Texas highway. The driver only got 2 years in jail for that horrific crime. Now the heartbroken widow is fighting for justice. You're going to hear from her. You don't want to miss that. It's next.
And President Trump's calm before the storm comment has everyone buzzing and freaking out. But what does he really mean? Well, Dr. James Mitchell, the man who interrogated the 9/11 mastermind, is here with some insight just ahead.
Trump had a nice visit to Puerto Rico. He said it gave all the first responders a chance to meet with the last responder.
He likes to bring Melania this kind of thing in case they encounter a situation that requires showing concern for other human beings. That becomes her job.
In a new interview, House Speaker Paul Ryan said he thinks President Trump's heart is in the right place on race relations. Oh, sorry, I misread that. His heart is in the white place.
Well, if you've watched any late-night TV recently, you know it's no longer Leno and Letterman. It's leftism, and it's not hard to see if you watch just 10 minutes. Well, the president up this morning and tweeting about late-night comedians not being very funny. This is what the president tweeted. He said, late-night hosts are dealing with the Democrats, he's referring to Chuck Schumer, for their very unfunny and repetitive material. Always anti-Trump. Should we get equal time? Goes on to tweet, more and more people are suggesting that Republicans and me should be given equal time on TV. When you look at the one-sided coverage, and it's, of course, not just, it's like it's late night. We know cable TV and other places are going to be one-sided, but Dean, it's amazing to watch how far they've gone.
Look, I know a lot of these guys, and I like them personally, and it's fine to put out a couple jokes, but when they're basing their entire monologues and almost their whole show on being anti-Trump, it's enough. And it's going to, I think it's there will be a backlash, and people are just going to say it's not funny enough. Let's move on.
When you're alienating half of the country, when you're focused so much on, making jokes about the Republican Party or the president himself, are you surprised by the ratings? I mean, it's one thing young people aren't watching TV as much, so there are a number of factors. I mean, I'm certainly not up watching these shows anymore. I miss Letterman.
You're still a young person.
Yeah, but this show keeps us in bed pretty early.
Yes.
But are you surprised that we've seen a decline in the ratings?
Well, there's some reasons for that, of course, is all the different media and things.
A lot of white males in that picture, just pointing out.
Just pointing it out. But, when you're constantly being negative, and Saturday Night Live is sort of learning that, you constantly be negative towards it. It's a one-trick pony enough already, spread it out, do something a little bit different. Right. And then it's really odd to see the thing on Fallon with the thank you notes. That's, she lost. Hillary Clinton lost.
Did people see this?
We have that clip. Watch this. Thank you notes to Hillary.
Thank you, Hillary Clinton, for being the first female presidential candidate nominated by a major party.
for handling this difficult transition with more grace than I ever could have imagined. That being said, call me day or night and I will be there with a gallon of ice cream and 2 spoons to tell you, girl, you are so much better than him.
For always sticking to the issues, even as people criticize you for superficial things like your hair, your wardrobe, and your appearance. You showed girls everywhere that politics isn't a popularity contest, because if it were, you would have won by about 3 million votes.
For standing up to critics who said that a woman couldn't be president because they'd be too emotional, impulsive, and unpredictable. So glad we didn't end up with someone like that.
There you go. We didn't even add the music.
It's cringeworthy to watch that. I mean, I'm uncomfortable right here, and I'm next to you, and I wouldn't be uncomfortable.
Those are producers of the show, by the way. These aren't just Hillary Clinton fans that got the opportunity to write thank you notes for her. That would be one thing, but you've got the music in the background. These are people that produce and write for the show.
They write his jokes every night.
But that's where you're getting it from. You're getting it from them as well. And but again, he wouldn't say it if he didn't believe it himself. So I think he would try to move that back or move it back. So unbelievably divisive. I wish it weren't so, and it may have a big backlash.
And at the end of the show, we might play that music, and Abby might write thank you notes to you for
that would be amazing. I couldn't even keep a straight face for that. It's I just can't even.
Unbelievable. I don't even need to write the thank you notes. I think all of our audience is already.
That's right. Our inbox is a thank you note.
Friends at foxnews.com. It has been fun having you.
It has been great being here. I love it. It's great. Thank you.
All right, we'll turn now to some extreme weather. We're following the Gulf Coast, bracing for another hurricane after it killed at least 24 people in Central America. Meteorologist Rick Reichmuth is here tracking that storm. Rick, what can we expect?
Hey, guys, yeah, storm moving really quickly. That means it's going to get here quickly. It will feel like there's not a lot of time to prepare. The good part is it's going to move on very quickly, so the rainfall totals will be kept down quite a bit from it. We've been talking about when hurricane season is. Here you go. We are right towards after the peak of hurricane season. We have one extra little kind of a secondary peak we call in October, and that's right about where we are. And then it drops down towards the end of November. That's the good news. In the short term, we've got this storm right here. Hurricane hunters have been flying in and out of this morning. They have got the winds now up to 85 miles an hour. All of the heaviest winds, though, are to the east side of the storm. So it's the east side that is going to take the brunt of it, certainly from the storm surge, but also the strongest of the winds. The west side, they're only getting winds at around 10 or 20 miles an hour. If this storm skirts to the east of New Orleans, that would be good news for New Orleans, but Mississippi coastline in throughout Alabama and the Florida panhandle as well. I will tell you, satellite imagery looking good. If it has more time over water, we could see it strengthen more, and that is certainly a possibility. Officially, they're calling for landfall tonight around midnight, and that is at a Category 1, 90-mile-an-hour storm. Could be a little bit stronger than that, so you certainly need to prepare. After that, it very quickly moves up the shore or up the coast in towards the Tennessee Valley, and towards the Ohio Valley, and across parts of the Northeast. It will be gone off of the Northeast by the time we get towards Tuesday morning, so it's a very quick mover. That's the good news. We won't be talking about this for all that long. Guys?
But still, hurricane season till the end of November. Rick Reichmuth, we'll keep a close eye on that. Thank you so much.
You bet.
It's been a busy one.
A busy one and a heartbreaking one. All right, I do want to bring you some other headlines we're following this morning. New disturbing details this morning about the man who went on a shooting spree at a congressional baseball practice this summer. According to a Virginia state attorney's report, James Hodgkinson was, quote, fueled by rage against Republican legislators. He also known for the case the field for weeks and fired nearly 70 rounds before Congressman Steve Scalise's protection detail returned fire, eventually killing Hodgkinson. And illegal immigration without a driver's license responsible for this car wreck that killed a volunteer firefighter, 2 young children ages 4 and 22 months. Now, the heartbroken widow and mother is fighting for justice. The killer getting a sentence of only 2 years behind bars. Courtney Hacking, she is outraged about this and emotional, as you can imagine, speaking earlier on the show.
They come here and they commit a larger crime and they get a slap on the wrist and they get to go home. So I want to see those laws enforced, and I want to see stricter punishment.
She's an incredible woman. Hacking says she gets her strength from her family as she has 4 more boys at home. Our thoughts are with her. And President Trump signs a proclamation declaring Monday as Columbus Day, our commander-in-chief, encouraging all Americans to celebrate the permanent arrival of Europeans to the Americas. But not everyone is excited about it. Antifa groups announcing a national campaign appearing to call on activists to destroy Christopher Columbus monuments. This after several Columbus statues around the country have already been vandalized. And that leads to this story. Dr. Seuss, a mural, is being removed from a Massachusetts museum because some people consider it racist. It's all because of this Chinese character that is depicted with chopsticks and other stereotypes. The mural will be replaced by another Dr. Seuss story. Okay, we'll have to leave it there.
Wow. Dr. Seuss replaced just
Grew
like
up
that.
on Dr. Seuss.
Yes, so did I. And a couple decades before you. And it's just shocking to see that. And to see the things that they're trying to bring down on the statues. It's just it's a sad thing to see.
And where does it end?
It's history. I mean, you can't just erase it.
Absolutely. All right. Well, coming up, more of my exclusive interview with my dad and my mom, the new ambassador to Russia. What my parents say about their move to Moscow and their message to all of those who serve.
And everyone is freaking out about President Trump's calm before the storm comment. But what does he really mean? Dr. James Mitchell, who interrogated the 9/11 mastermind, is here with some insight next.
Born to that one.
Yeah, I think you'll figure it out. President Trump with a cryptic message for the media. Well, I guess that's not it, is it?
That is the wrong video.
That is
you know what?
It's live television. It's my first time.
This represents, well, I don't know, maybe it's the calm before the storm. What's the storm? Could be the calm before the storm.
What storm, Mr. President?
You'll find out.
What storm, Mr. President? So what did he really mean by that? Joining us now to weigh in, the author of Enhanced Interrogation, Dr. James Mitchell. Doctor, no one better to help all of us try and make sense of what the president is saying here. He originally said it surrounded by a group of generals that obviously advise him. What do you think he's referring to?
Well, I think we shouldn't be reading too much into that. You know, he's a showman and he's a self-promoter, and I think his default approach is to create drama and interest and have people wondering what's happening next, because those are skills that has helped him become, rich and famous. And very often we default back to those things that we're good at. And I think that's what's happening. The other thing that I think is happening is that, and I enjoy it because his election was like throwing a hand grenade in the swamp. Guys like me, we look at this and we're just delighted every time he opens his mouth because of the reaction. I think he's trolling the press, too. The weird thing about it is, and it seems odd to me that they don't seem to notice it, is that he controls their focus. He controls their attention, and he guarantees that they're not focusing on the sorts of things that he's working on. They're focusing on to find some way to discredit him, and it has, he controls the focus. He controls the news.
Interesting that you say that, sir, because look at this, Exhibit A.
Why did he say that? It comes as officials tell CNN President Trump is prepared to decertify the Iran nuclear deal.
It's incredibly reckless. And I know we discount, I know the bar is so low, it's buried way underground, but it's incredibly reckless rhetoric to talk about the calm before the storm and to be laughing and joshing.
You could see when he said it, 3 seconds afterwards, he literally had a smile. Now, if you're talking about a storm of raining, fire and brimstone, you're not smiling. He literally winked. We have to stop trying to analyze what he says, and it's just Tourette's of silliness.
When they sort of catch their breath in this town, when they sort of hold their breath in this town, when he says something like that, you have a smile on your face. I mean, is that somewhat satisfying?
No, I just picture people in this town actually holding their breath. That might be a welcome surprise for most of America.
That's precisely what I was talking about. I delight at that. If the world leaders are going to base their policy on some off-the-cuff comment that the president makes to troll the press, then we've got bigger problems.
No question about that.
You do wonder, though, when we're talking about national security, is he sending a message to leaders in Iran? Is he sending a message to Kim Jong-un? Is he talking about maybe progress we're making with ISIS? Do you think that is an interesting and productive strategy to keep them on their toes? Nobody knows who he's actually referring to.
Well, that's part of it. I think one of the side effects, and I don't know, I hope it's deliberate, but one of the side effects is that it keeps people guessing. Right. And in particular, it keeps those people who we're trying to influence with our foreign policy guessing. And that's not such a bad strategy, because our folks before have been so ultimately predictable that they could develop workarounds. But you never know. You know, I'm delighted that he's as unpredictable as he is, because that means when they come to the table to deal with our diplomats as they try to make treaties and things, they're going to be paying attention. They're not going to be expecting ops normal.
So you think that his being a little bit off base like that is an effective strategy?
Could be. It depends on the person. You know, here's what's true for most of us. Our strengths are also our greatest weakness. You know, a person who has a lot of attention to detail can become so paralyzed under stress and over-focused on individual details that they can't do anything. And this habit that he has of creating drama and saying things off the cuff could ultimately end up not benefiting him. But hopefully he's bright enough to see when he should use it and he shouldn't.
Yeah. All right, Dr. James Mintle, great to have you on. Great to get your perspective. If you don't know what he's referring to, nobody knows.
Nobody does.
Have a great Saturday, sir.
Thank you.
All right, more Fox and Friends after this.